Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is impaneled at headquarters in Baton Rouge. Today, serving on the panel to my left is Ms. Stapleton. Virtually is Mr. Prater, and I'm Ms. Ledoux. Would you please state your name and your DOC number for the record, sir?
Brian Anthony Woods Jr., DOC number 630155.
Mr. Woods, you're before this panel today because of violations against your parole. Sir, I'm going to be reading some information about those violations and ask you to enter a plea. Before we do that, I'd like to make sure that you have a piece of paper in front of you that you recognize your signature. That's a parole revocation questionnaire. Okay, we'll put it on the screen. Do you see your name at the bottom of that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the answers to the questionnaire indicate that you're not eligible for appointed counsel. However, I do see that you have retained counsel today, Mr. Marcus Myers. Has he joined us yet? Do you see him? Okay, he has not joined our call yet. We'll go ahead and proceed. You also have several other members that would like to speak. But right now, I'm going to ask you to enter a plea. Usually, we have.
I'm sorry. I'd like my attorney to be here. Is it because he said he had spoken with y'all and he said he would be in at 11. He thought it would be at 11.
Well, you can never really. We're contacting him. We'll just put you on hold for a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
We are making contact with your attorney. We're going to just put you to the side for a little bit until he
Yes, ma'am.
So you'll hang tight and we'll come back to you at that time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So the probation officer, if you'll also make sure that you are staying connected so that we can come back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
The time is now 11:15. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is impaneled in Baton Rouge. Today on panel to my left is Ms. Stapleton. Virtually is Mr. Prater and Ms. Ledoux. We are hearing an offender at Rain City Jail. Before we get started, I know we have some people who have joined us, including your attorney. Mr. Woods, would you please state your name and your DOC number for the record?
Brian Anthony Woods Jr., DOC number 630155.
Mr. Woods, do you have a piece of paper in front of you that's a parole revocation, or you saw it earlier on the screen, didn't you?
Yes, ma'am.
You acknowledge that you are not eligible for appointed counsel. You do have Mr. Marcus Myers, an attorney who's here. Mr. Myers, you're welcome to work with your client as needed. At this point, I'm going to be reading violations into the record. And from Mr. Woods, I will need a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. You are accused of violating condition number 4. On September 8th, 2024, you were engaged in criminal activity and committed cruelty to juveniles. On September 15th, 2024, you were arrested by the Lafayette Parish Sheriff's Office and booked into the Correctional Center for the above charge. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Also of note, October 18, 2024, those charges were refused by the Lafayette Parish District Attorney's Office.
Your Councilman, or Your Honor, if I may, we'd like to withdraw that guilty plea. He meant to plead not guilty.
So, sir, you are saying that you are guilty or not guilty of criminal activity committing cruelty to juveniles?
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Okay. We have, do not believe we have the other 2 people who had initially signed in. So at this time, Mr. Myers, then you would be, it would be your turn to talk.
Okay. I did submit a letter to the board November 26, 2024, outline our position. So as you stated, that the charges were rejected. And so I know that the board looks at behavior and misconduct. So I'd like to look at the behavior of Mr. Woods on that day. The charges were rejected. He was at his girlfriend's home. He wasn't at the bar or a disreputable place where you expect something like this to happen. The child in question has severe mental and behavioral issues. Her mother is on the Zoom. She could speak to that. But she's the one that became aggressive to the mother. Mr. Woods simply stepped into the room to inquire as to what was happening. The girl then focused on Mr. Woods as her source of ire, came at him physically. He turned to leave. The girl blocked his path from leaving. As far as I understand, Mr. Woods put his hand on her shoulder, or maybe two hands, moved her out of the way, and left the house. I would submit that his conduct was not criminal. It was responsible, and I know the standard for revocation is looking at misconduct is if there's a substantial risk that he will commit another felony. And the fact that he left the scene before things got out of hand shows me that he is making the right decisions. And I don't think he will be in any further criminal activity. And that's why I think it's important to consider the place where he was. He was at a good, reputable place where he should be. He's enrolled in the domestic violence intervention program. I have a letter that I just received today from his counselor, so I apologize I was not able to submit it. I can put it on the screen here as to his progress. He's accountable for his behavior. He's open to group members. He's open to discusses all the different topics. He's completes all the assignments. He's making positive changes. He's completed 7 classes. So Mr. Woods has done everything I believe you would want him to do since being released. The only problem he had was this night in question, and I think he handled it to the best of his ability. And I don't think he did anything to bring it upon himself or put him in that situation, or that would lead the board to believe that he would continue or have any other kind of problems in the future. In fact, everything he's done shows that he will not have any problems in the future. We do have his employer here that can speak to how well he's done. And we also have the mother of the girl involved in the altercation with Mr. Woods. And I think she can shed some light on what happened. She was an actual eyewitness, as well as can explain to her daughter's behavioral issues. So I just, go ahead.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and hear from the mother at this point then. I think that was the appropriate thing. Ms. Reyes?
Hi, yes, ma'am.
Could you address the board and tell us what you'd like to know about the allegations?
Okay, so that night, yes, like the lawyer was saying, my daughter and I were in a disagreement, and she was very aggressive with me, and Mr. Woods did come in and try to diffuse the situation. She then turned aggressive towards him. My daughter does have a lot of substantial mental health issues. She's very destructive, which since this incident, she has been receiving help for. However, her behavior isn't still where it needs to be. On a positive note, she will be leaving for Job Corps to try to at least get her education. And other than that, he did simply move her. I thought that he did the right thing by leaving the house, to not engage in any more of what was going on, even after he left, between her and I. My mother was the one that called the cops a week after the incident. And during that week, Mr. Woods, he was still present in the home, and, the kids didn't have a problem. Like, there was never any kind of altercations between myself or the girls with him ever until that night. I'm sorry, what else am I?
She wrote a letter, didn't she?
Yes, my daughter did write a letter on behalf of Mr. Woods, and she did also include and take part of her responsibility of what happened that night.
We have received those, and all of those are part of our file that we've reviewed already. If we can hear from Mr. Booty. Mr. Booty, if you'll address the panel with about what you'd like for us to know.
Yes, ma'am. Brian Woods was hired not far after he was released from prison. He started off as a scaffold helper that we used on land projects and different plants and different community projects around our area. He's been a reliable employee since then. He's taken on leadership aspirations. He came on to be a yard supervisor in that time, and then now he's also, his plan track was to be an offshore cleaning tech that would lead him to offshore supervisor in the cleaning division that he was recruited from because of his outstanding work and reliability. So he's a viable part of our division and our diverse services division at Acadian Contractors. My boss is the division manager for that, and he's the one that recruited him to go into that division. So he still has a job pending whenever he's done with this, and the guys are waiting for him to return.
You've never had any disciplinary issues with him based on behavior, his anger or anything?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay.
Excuse me. I have one more person that would like to speak. They said I could have three, and one more would like to speak on my behalf, if it's okay with the board.
Are they?
Yeah, they're with me right here next to
It's
me.
the police chief of Rain, I believe, right?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I will accept that. Police chief? Yes, sir. Would you introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Carol Stelly, Chief of Police for the City of Rain. We run a DOC camp over here. It's a work camp. I got Brian here about 5 years ago and got him listening to the program. Our program kind of teaches skill set out in the community, doing work for nonprofit churches, city. And over the 5 years, he has grown as a person on his skill set. We never had any type of write-up for discipline. He coexists. He's also took part going out our DARE program. He has spoken to children to try to get the kids to stay on the right path. And since he's been out, I've kind of been a mentor to Brian, along with other guys that come through our program. They stay in touch. Brian was going to church with family members. And if I recall, he was even taking his associate's daughter, the one that he had a problem with, to church, trying to get her on the right path. Had a job, being productive. He'd call me, check in. And a matter of fact, when all this came up, he called me. And I told him, for Brian, the right thing to do is to go to meet with the sheriff department. If you've done that wrong, you need to go and meet with him. And besides that, we never had any issue with Brian as long as he's been incarcerated with us or out in the community.
I appreciate you joining us today and providing that, Chief.
Not a problem.
Thank you. Mr. Woods, we do have the probation and parole officer, Mr. James Taylor, and he would like to speak. Mr. Taylor, at this time, could you address the panel?
Yes, ma'am. I supervised him starting in July. My interaction with him, he's been nothing but respectful. From looking at the notes, he's always reported. He paid on his parole fees as directed. From reading the narratives, I haven't noticed any problems out of him besides this criminal activity.
And you're convinced there was criminal activity?
That's the only violation he has is just the criminal activity. But as far as anything else, he's always reported as directed. He's paid on his fees. We haven't had any problems with him besides this one incident.
Okay. Mr. Woods, Mr. Prater is going to be asking you some questions, okay?
Good afternoon, Mr. Woods.
Good afternoon, Mr. Prater.
Morning. I got just a couple of questions, and it involves you state now that you just moved her out of the way, correct?
Yes, sir.
But after giving your Miranda rights to the detective, according to the report here that I'm reading, you admitting your temper got the best of you. You pushed her to the ground and she hit the vanity.
No, when she lunged at me, when I first went in to defuse the situation and she lunged at me, I moved out of the way, and when she lunged, I just moved her out of the way and she fell to the floor and hit the vanity. And that's when I proceeded to leave, and she ran out and she blocked me, and I moved her out of my way. I gave the little child a hug and I left.
So what you're saying is the detective wrote the statement down wrong? Because I'm reading exactly what the detective wrote. Mr. Woods initially denied hitting the girl. However, as the interview progressed, Mr. Woods admitting to letting his temper get the better of him and pushing the girl to the ground, causing her to hit the vanity. That's what I've got to read. Can you help me to understand the difference?
I'm not saying that he's there. He made it seem like I pushed her into the vanity. The mom was in the room. When she lunged at me, I just moved out of the way. I just moved her out of the way, and she fell. She lunged. She actually lunged at me, and I moved her out of the way, and she fell into the vanity. And I proceeded to leave, and she came again, and that's when I moved her out of my way. I gave the little one a hug, and I left, Mr. Prater. I felt like I was doing the right thing by trying to leave the whole scenario, because I know what I am facing. I know everything that I'm facing. So I'm not trying to hurt the child or anything. I really went in to diffuse the situation, and I tried to get out of there.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
When you say you hugged the little one, was that the 12-year-old that was in the
Yeah,
room?
yes, sir.
Okay. And speaking of her statement is a little bit damning against you also. Do you know what she said? Are you aware of what she said?
No, sir.
Okay. She said you pinned her sister against the wall with one hand around her neck. You pushed her down the hall, and the girl that you're supposed to have hurt was spit blood and saliva on the floor. She was spitting up from being choked. I understand the older one being mentally whatever, but why would the 12-year-old say that? Now, this is several days after the incident occurred at the detective's office.
Mr. Prater, I'll be honest with you. She wasn't even in the room when the incident occurred. So why she would say it? The police was called on me a week later, Mr. Prater.
Right.
A week later. So I saw the kids even after that night that the incident happened. So for her to say that she wasn't even in, I had to go to her room to hug her, which you can ask the mother. She'll tell you that she was right there. I went into her room to hug her, and then I left. Now, why the grandmother decided to call the police a week later, I'll never understand that, and it's why I'm here today. I take accountability for my part in trying to help, but I did not think it would lead to any of this. And I'm sorry that I'm having to face this, but I felt like I've done everything right. Even since I've got out, I'm taking the domestic classes. I'm doing everything to be a productive citizen, to be home, because I just served a lot of time in prison.
Yes.
I really felt like I did the right thing by leaving. And a week later, I didn't, when the police called, I went and met with the sheriff. I didn't run. I didn't felt like I did anything wrong to do anything. I went and I talked and I got put in jail. I'm That's all I could say. Why she said that though, you can ask the mother. She was not even in the room when the incident started.
Okay. And the final question I have can you explain the digital images that the detective saw taken by, I assume, the grandmother? It shows a large bump on the top left corner of her forehead, reddened elbows and knees, and what appeared to be small whelps to her lower back area. Now, I don't know what the lower back area, that's not even come up, so we won't deal with that, but how did she get all knotted up on her head, or why would the grandmother take pictures and submit them? Can you tell us that?
Mr. Prada, I don't know. I don't want to lie to you. I didn't see no images, so I don't know.
And be honest with you, I have not seen the images either. I'm
Yeah,
just reading the detective's
I can't.
report.
I don't want to lie to you, Mr. Prada. I don't want to lie to you. I don't know nothing about any images, so I can't answer that.
Okay.
Can I say something?
It's up to the chairman,
Oh,
the chair lady running the meeting.
Is this something pertinent to what we're talking about right now?
yes, ma'am. It's in regards to like the photos or whatnot. Is that okay that I continue?
I'll allow it. Yes.
Okay. So my mom had sent me over one photo of where Rayleigh had obtained a bruise, and then after speaking to her about that photo, that happened when my daughter fell in the middle of the road. We have a gravel road. My daughter is also anemic, so she's low efficiency on iron. She bruises super easily. Any other photo as far as like knots on the head or anything like that, that the only photo, like I said, that was presented to me from my mom directly, and the only one that she said that she had was that it was a bruise with a little cut on it, and then that occurred on our road.
Okay. I think that we have gotten all the information we need.
Well,
Mr.
let me, excuse me, Madam Chairman. Let me ask the mom for just a second. Why would the 12-year-old be lying for the 15-year-old?
That I'm not sure, but I can assure you that my 12-year-old was in her room the entire time. Her door was closed. There was no way of her of even seeing the incident because she knew as soon as I went back there and Rayleigh and I were getting into the altercation, she closed her door. She doesn't like to hear when things like that go on. So I know for a fact that she didn't see or hear. I mean, she didn't see anything as far as what went on that night because she stayed in her room with her door closed.
Mr. Myers, let me ask you something.
Yes,
Why does the judge say he's going to postpone his revocation of probation until the board decides? Can you help me out there?
I can't. I don't know why he did that. I don't know if it was just, late in the day and he didn't want to deal with, had other cases and just thought maybe he could see it get resolved.
Put it off on us.
I don't say that. I don't know. I can't speak to it.
You can't say it, but I can say it. Okay. All right. That's all the questions that I have.
Ms. Stapleton has a question.
Yeah, I've got a follow-up on what Mr. Prater asked about the younger sister. She did speak to Deputy Didier, and she advised that she was in her bedroom. She was doing laundry at the time, and she heard yelling. And then she went to go peek and observed Brian grab her sister by the neck and strangling her. And then she returned to her bedroom, at which time she heard someone falling. And then she went to look again, at which time she observed Brian shove her sister in the hallway. And she heard her sister coughing up blood and observed blood on the floor. So yeah, you wouldn't have seen her, and neither would her mother, because she was hiding. But she did tell the detective how she saw what she saw. So that's the statement I wanted to make as to y'all didn't see her and she was in the bedroom. She was in and out of the bedroom quietly. That's all I have to say.
Mr. Wood, are you okay? Your eyes look
I was just crying because I'm scared. It's just I'm scared. I hear the point that she snuck in and out, but I mean I didn't. I don't feel like if I was so irate, I mean, I left. I mean, I don't know what else I could do in that situation, but move the child and leave because I know what I'm facing. So I just felt like I did the right thing and enrolling in classes and doing everything I'm supposed to do to show y'all that I'm not a statistic, that I'm not a somebody that's going to be back in front of y'all. I feel like I was doing the right things, becoming the supervisor, and I just brought me a brand new car, and I was living again, and I just don't want that stripped away, based on me thinking I did the right thing, and a week later the grandma called the police on me, and now I'm facing this. I'm sorry.
No, that's not just concerned about you. I think that we're prepared to vote, Mr. Pro.
Can we go to executive session, please, ma'am?
We have a vote to go into executive session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Steve Prater,
Yes.
Carolyn Stapleton,
Yes.
Jerry Ledoux.
Yes. So we're going to be discussing confidential information, and we will return shortly. The panel is returning at 11:45. Roll call.
Steve Prater,
Here.
Jerry Ledoux,
Here.
Carolyn Stapleton.
Here.
Okay, Mr. Woods, after we've heard all of the testimony, we've heard your attorney as well as probation and parole, police chief. I think the panel is prepared to vote. Mr. Prater will take lead.
Okay. Mr. Woods, I think you better be very, I know you've been careful, but I think you be very, very careful in the future to avoid the appearance of impropriety. But my vote is to give you another chance. I'm listening to the chief and I'm listening to your parole agent. I'm listening to both of them. And so I think that you don't need to be revoked is my vote.
Mr. Woods, what happened was concerning, and I don't think you should have been brought into that situation. But you were. From what y'all say, from the mother said the daughter is going into Job Corps to help her with her behavior problems. And then also you're already enrolled in the domestic violence intervention program, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that a 26-week course? How long?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my vote would be to not revoke you with the condition that you complete the domestic violence intervention.
My vote is also do not revoke, continue supervision with completion of domestic abuse battery. I mean, domestic violence intervention. Mr. Woods, I think Mr. Prater's little sermon was appropriate, and I would second that sermon. You need to not have any
Yes,
slip
ma'am.
up.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all.
Okay.
Can we sign it on?
Thank you, Lord.
11:47.
And I apologize for my schedule. I was in federal court. I would have been here earlier, but thank you, Lord.
Sure.